Hi, my name is Jacob Smith, and the title of my presentation is What Are We Wasting? A Deep Dive Analysis into Public Waste Receptacles and Waste Characterization. First off, why do we characterize waste? Around 19% of anthropogenic emissions come from trash sitting in landfills. Waste characterization is a means to combat this, as it is a large part of waste management that ensures different materials are correctly disposed of so they can be used in recycling and composting, which is rendered recoverable material, and which to divert to landfills, which is just trash or non-recoverable material. With that, mischaracterization is something that still occurs very often, and that is when a material is disposed of incorrectly, which can lead to displaced materials ending up in landfills that could have been recycled or composted. The three key reasons as to why we mischaracterize waste so often are: one, a lack of education on sustainable practices; number two, a lack of amenities or infrastructure; and number three, a higher socioeconomic standing that allows individuals to waste more items. Now, the two key research questions that my study looked into were: one, what is the percentage of recoverable and non-recoverable material inside of public trash cans? And number two, what are some improvements that can be made to achieve a higher amount of properly characterized waste materials? In order to answer these questions, we partnered with the City of Renton Public Works Department to deduce the amount of recoverable and non-recoverable waste inside of public trash cans. We first split different waste cans into different sectors based off of amenities, yellow being residential, blue being commercial, and red being parks. This was really mainly to identify the different kinds of materials that circulate these kinds of areas most often. Number two, we split sample materials into different waste bins, essentially giving each one its own category. So plastics had its own category, papers, compostable waste, haz waste, you name it. Number three, we then weighed each bag and separated material to deduce a percentage value of material seen within the sample. In order to kind of project that a little bit better, here are the results of our study, in which the first graph here represents the percentage of material weight. With that, results show a high level of recoverable material inside of commercial areas being around 44%, and a low level of recoverable material inside of residential areas being around 28% due to hazardous waste contamination. Why does hazardous waste contamination occur? We can look at graph number 2 in order to look at that. Right there. So high variance can be seen in organics, e-waste, metals, hazardous waste, and glass. High variance in a data set means that there are variances in the material sizes within each sample. Essentially, that means that, say, can number 173 had a really high level of hazardous waste and compostable waste, but can number 172, which is also in the same area, had lower level of compostable and hazardous waste, therefore creating variance within the data set. And essentially, that allows us to look at isolated incidents where high levels of contamination were occurring within specific trash cans in specific areas. Now, looking into the three key takeaways of this study. Number one, there's a large amount of recoverable waste inside commercial areas that we're not necessarily taking advantage of, which is around 44%. Number two, there's a large amount of smaller bag trash inside of public waste cans being packed away in smaller plastic bags, such as ones you typically find in grocery stores or takeout spaces. And number three, there are many inconsistencies in residential trash due to contamination from hazardous waste and compostable waste due to household trash, so trash typically found in bathrooms or kitchens. Looking into three key solutions that the results kind of identify is: number one, making trash can holes smaller and lids inaccessible. This really allows individuals to separate their trash properly and reduces the amount of bag trash inside of these larger trash cans. Number two, add more recycling and composting cans near trash cans to encourage proper characterization. And number three, educating individuals on what kinds of trash are safe to throw away in what containers and raise awareness for contamination and mischaracterization. With that, just some three things you can do right now is: number one, sorting through your trash really takes around 5 to 10 minutes to sit down to understand which materials you can throw away, which materials you can recycle and compost. Number two, advocating for reform. So communicating with your local government about increasing the amount of recycling and composting cans within your area can really greatly allow the amount of just kind of characterization that occurs within your communities, and also talking with friends and family about the importance of characterizing your waste and recycling. And finally, number three, educating yourself on waste management. We live in the digital age in which you can use the internet to look up many different things. Just educating yourself on what contamination is and what plastics are actually recyclable versus which ones are not recyclable can really help in that characterization process as well. That is the end of my presentation. Are there any questions about the content presented within the slides? Nice.